Welcome to OffBeat Business TV and the OBBM Network podcast. CEO and host Susan Hamilton shares vital insight from local DFW leaders on successful life and business, focused squarely on local family business. It's time for our nation to rise, and we'll do it through a vibrant local business sector that stands up for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Ready to meet your advocates? Here's your host.
Hi, my name is Susan Hamilton. You're watching OffBeat Business TV or listening to the OBBM Network. So today I'm coming to you with a little bit of a different format because we have an us and them problem in the United States of America. And right now it's pervaded our local communities, our businesses, and our families. So I'm appealing to you today in a call to action for our local business communities. The OBBM Network is setting up our flagship area here in DFW, and we've been shooting out of Allen, Texas. And there are so many things that we are seeing across the board as we serve our local business communities that it's important for us to learn how to rally around unity and really understand what that means. So let me first describe who I'm talking to when I'm talking to you. Local family business makes up 90% of American micro to small business. Did you have any idea that you were that powerful? This is an amazing time, but I know in my local community where I live in Richardson, Texas, 26 restaurants went out of business just last year in 2020. Well, for every one business that goes out, 6 businesses will go out of business also because of the ripple effect of that loss. So today we need to draw together to make better choices so that we can insulate ourselves from this scenario ever happening again. So when we look at who are we really? Well, we tend to have kids in school, right? We're raising our children. They're either going in as young parents, they're just starting elementary school, or maybe you are dealing with teenagers or kids on the other side of that spectrum, or maybe grown and have their own families. If your kids are still in school, no matter what level, education is important to you. And if your older kids have grown on, and now you're, as I am, a grandparent, education is still important to you. One of the things that we are exposing here at the OBBM Network are conversations that you're hearing from Social Impact, for instance, a podcast on the OBBM Network, talking about the things going on in education today that directly impact you and directly impact your families, and in fact have been going on for so long that they can seem like a freight train has coming down our communities to tear it apart, and we don't even recognize it. Largely because we're busy, right? Because if you're not dealing with kids on the one side of your business, or maybe if you are, you've also got parents that you care about. And the parents that we care about are going through any level of, let's see, cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis, dementia care. All of these things impact how much time and focus we have to give to the things that are in our very real world. Largely, the people that we serve have been in business a while, and they've just struggled to keep up with marketing and technology. Well, that can be solved if you know how to network in community, if you know how to pull those pieces together. And the OBBM Network is here to make sure that you can. So as we further define how the local family business is really really existing in our community, not only do we have parents that are at various levels of independence or need for additional care, but a lot of your families have a law enforcement agent or a fireman or a firewoman or an EMT or a nurse in your family or workspace, because those types of hours make sense. And a lot of times these people are so industrious that not only are they serving with their very lives in business, but then they turn around and they support a local family business, probably one of their own, in their own family, or even start another. Wow, did you realize that the members of our community are supporting each other in this way? And in truth, our community businesses are supporting the community at large. Some interesting things also about this group is we are seeing a huge problem, and you know I've said it for many years, with addictions in our family or workspace. Employment's been the #1 problem in our businesses before the pandemic hit our communities. Now, more than ever, really understanding that employment pipeline and how to attract and retain people that are good for your brand, and at the same time being that help for the community, because we've got people at various levels of ability. And we know if we don't hire, that's not good for them either, is it? So we want to be a resource. But these things that are going on around us right now can keep us so busy, sometimes we don't feel like we're really making that difference. I want to encourage you today that you can make a difference. And there's a couple places that you can be paying attention to right here in DFW, so you can have your ear to the ground and figure out, okay, where do you plug in? Because your inactivity, your ability to walk away from those years in business and with a hopelessness, or the thought that you have an uncertainty, you just can't see the next stage, is going to be very damaging for everyone. Now, if you're moving and shifting from one type of a business to another way of serving, kudos. I'm cheering you on. If you're needing to take a break for a while and just a deep breath and move into the next scenario of your life, I'm cheering you on. And so is everyone here at the OBBM Network. We get it. But if you've got something that you offer this community and you know that you can serve, whether that's even maybe your life changed and it's a coaching and consulting level, or something else has opened up for you, I urge you to do that, because businesses don't exist in a vacuum. There's no such thing as a business that just exists all by itself without other businesses that help it along. And when that happens, they're able to impact not only the employees that are in their company, but everyone else that comes in and out of their business. So why does that matter to you? Because we've never had a scenario before where it was so easy to let go of an American dream, American values, American ideals. And at this stage of the game, many of our medias, well, let's say all of our medias, have been so focused on the national scale. What we're missing is an understanding that 75 to 80% of the things that are going to matter to you in your life are happening on the local level. I wonder if a lot of you here in Texas knew about a February 12th deadline to make sure that your community knows that you want to take a position on a city council or a board or run for commissioner. There are times and dates when if we're not connected to the way these things happen, we are allowing that us and them to matter so much more than what I bet you thought I meant at the start of this episode. Us and them, if we left it to the mainstream media, looks like pitting colors against each other, looks like pitting religions against each other. It looks like pitting everything. If there's a way you can divide, even sexual genders, against each other. When the truth of the matter is the us and them is those of us that have skin in the game on every single issue coming together to make better choices and actively participate in the things that are going on right now. Are you holding your local council representatives accountable? Do you have any idea what they're talking about every single week and that you're invited to go? Do you know what they're talking about at the ISD level? Well, I got news for you, friends. There's a handful of people that are starting to rise, and I want to call you to action, because your business is more than just an economic part of our community. It actually is community. At the very realest, truest sense, you know your neighborhood, you know your neighbors, you know that the elderly in our community were afraid to go get help when they needed it over the choices that were made on our local and state and county levels. Now, what do we do now? We've got a community to serve, and some of them don't even want it. Some of them are afraid to even step into that place. Well, if you're going to make a difference there, friends, you're going to have to be powerful, and you're going to have to believe that you can. So this episode is devoted to you, to light you up and get you excited about some of the very real things that you can do in this community right now when you look at your business differently and realize how powerful you are. We're going to hear from a few of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
What does it mean to devote your life to the truth? Does it mean investigating communist subversion here in America? Does it mean exposing the deadly fentanyl crisis in the Midwest? Or spending late nights and covering deep government corruption? Does it mean persevering over 20 years, even after 4 masked men set one of our printing presses on fire last year? Because at a time when America's traditional values are under attack, it's the responsibility of righteous journalists to uphold truth and tradition.
My American dream is to help you stay healthy and energized so you can live your American dream.
Our American dream is equipping future generations of American dreamers.
My American dream is to protect my community so they can live their American dream.
My American dream is to bring you some spice and flavor to your life.
Our American dream is ensuring what's most valuable to you.
Our American dream is creating opportunities for healthcare providers so they can have their American dreams.
My American dream is serving our business community and advocating for all of your American dreams.
And we're back. My name is Susan Hamilton. I'm the host of the OffBeat Business Show and OffBeat Business TV. And if you're listening to this, you're listening to the OBBM Network. Listen, we are a group of shows and programs that are produced in-house. We're a full-service production house. Everything from the concept of a show to the production of a show to the programming of the show and the promotion thereafter. And we include a lot of aspects that make that happen and are very, very powerful. But all those things exist for a reason. You know, years ago, we understood that if the local business wasn't engaged in audio and video for the success of their own brand, that they were going to have a hard time showing up in voice search and in the places that other business owners are really looking for professional and personal development. So we started creating this network as a way that experience can shine, because a lot of people have had a whole lot of experience with their business in the local family business sector. You know, what I talked about earlier, that 90% of American micro to small business, but a lot of them would not call themselves powerful. And I think that's a shame. And so I spend a lot of time talking one-on-one on a regular basis because I love to mine the gold. You know, success is an interesting thing, and I want you all to have it. But we all look at success a little bit differently. We look at success as though we've had to achieve these certain goals. We have ideas in audio and video of who we consider our experts. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, no matter who you're paying for coaching programs and all the things that you're doing for your own personal and professional development, you're really taking that information to the people that you know in the local business community that have businesses, because that's who you trust. It's very, very important to be able to leverage that in your own business. Your experience matters, and the ability to get your experience and all that gold that's inside of you out so that you're improving another business, well, that changes the way you're viewed across the board. Now you're not just a megaphone, but you're reaching so many more people because you're the industry authority teaching other people how to do what you're doing. There's gold in that, because while in past generations, actually my mom's generation, man, she could do it all. And I grew up in a business like that, where one person could do all the different aspects of your business. But today, life is very different. And if we don't know who's in our corner to handle all the fractional services that we need, we're not going to get them done. There's a whole lot on the playing field with insurances, with processes, with technology, with employment. How are you going to manage those types of things if you don't know who are those people you can trust? If you're not actively networking, if you're not actively participating with other business owners on a social level, you're going to have a hard time building up that trust factor. But audio and video can absolutely help, and chances are you're at least doing that for yourself. Now listen, we don't have any time to mess around. This is time to move. You've got to become more powerful in everything that you do and look at profit very, very differently. You know, it's important to be able to cover your butt, right? We all get that part, but don't settle for that. Don't limit yourself to just what you can do to cover payroll or to cover the things that are part of the regular expenses of growth. Yeah, it's expensive to grow. Don't let it stop you from making those bold choices. Friends, if you don't do that, what's going to happen is the same thing that's happened years before. If you do not think last year was planned in advance and could happen again, you are really missing out on what's been going on in the news and what has been well documented for a very long time. So when we talked about an us and them earlier, I want you to really consider who the them are and who it should be, because it's supposed to be you. If you know how to serve and you care about your community, then you need to be able to be in a position to step up. But those roles are not small. Those roles are time consuming, which means there has to be an excess of time and money in your business or you won't be able to do that. But listen, not everyone that's been representing us in the United States of America, in your local community, in your local ISD board was thinking, hey, I want you to succeed. No, they weren't. They were thinking very much that you're not essential. You're not a part of what the community needs. Well, you know better. Who's going to stand up for you if you don't stand up for yourself? It's interesting, one of the very first coaches that ever talked to me made a comment. He said, you know, it's a sorry dog that won't wag his own tail. Consider this. Don't be afraid to get up and do the bold thing. But if you are having a hard time with the next steps of your business and the boldness of your business, it could very well be that you don't know the right people. Get to know your businesses and community. They're here for you. They're going to help you pull all those pieces together. You couldn't possibly know how to do it yourself. And if you did, then it's not for you. Businesses, as I mentioned earlier, don't exist in a vacuum. It takes all these pieces to get it done. Marketing and technology have moved very quickly, and they're going to continue to move quickly. And the idea is that hamster wheel that keeps you so busy is going to have you missing the very life that you have a right to live. But it's worse than that at this stage of the game, and that's why I put this piece together for you today, this call to action, because at this stage, it is about how your children are being taught about the United States of America. Guess where those decisions are being made? Well, you'll have to tune into Social Impact and listen and learn how you can participate on those very real things. because believe it or not, we've got, and you'll believe it, it's just a matter, ask your kids, ask your grandkids what America is. What does our community look like? What is it? A lot of them will tell you today they don't even understand why we have borders. You would think that's very basic since every country in the world has borders. But those things are not being taught. As a matter of fact, in Minnesota, they just removed from the school curriculum World War I, World War II, Holocaust. Think about this. Now, if that's possible, what else is possible? If you're not participating, look, I could draw a bunch of conclusions about who the them is, but I know this, it's not us. And I think you'll agree with me. Now, if we're going to make a significant difference here, we're going to have to move much more powerfully. Get strong with your business. Start taking on those sales. Start reaching out, because nobody sees communism coming until it takes over. Nobody willingly walks into a communist world and says, oh, I'd rather be communist. No, they don't. It happens very slowly, very pervasively, where instead of a local community deciding and governing for themselves and in a protective and a defensive manner, instead the larger piece comes in and says, we are going to make everything the same. And I'll tell you what, you've got a very real reality out there today that says if your business, if you're working at home and you're not meeting anybody and you're afraid to leave, but you'll sit home and take a paycheck from the government, well, that's actually been done before, and it ought to smell really bad to you. And I hope you're paying attention to history and seeing where you fit, because you don't have a whole lot of time once that freight train comes running through your very own community. And I don't want you focused on those things because it'll eat your guts up, but I do want you focused on what you can do and realize how important it is that you don't give up right now. It's going to be easy to give up. Don't think we all haven't thought it. But keep in mind what's at risk if you decide not to participate in the most powerful business that you can. Because if you're not the person that is going to run for office, you're the business that can fund that person. Because the right people haven't been running because there's no money in it. You have to understand this party system is paying for a certain idea to go out, not yours. Think about who you can throw your money behind on these local city councils. Think about, you better find out what's going on in your very own community. Do you know in the city of Plano on Wednesday nights they are teaching the Constitution? Now it's about doggone time that kind of thing happened, and you can be a part of that. Matter of fact, when we come back, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I learned about Article 5. I don't want you to give up. I want you to have hope. I want to paint this picture so that you can see it and realize that you can play an active role in your community and get excited again. Do something about this in your favor, because it may look like Goliath. It might look like it's just too big. But when the local community comes together, we can get things done in defense of our communities, in defense of our families, in defense of our organizations. We'll be right back. Strong business has always been the clear economic indicator. WorkSuites in Allen, Texas is just one of 18 locations in DFW and Houston that support your necessary transitions with full service and affordable workspaces for upgrading or downsizing your current workload. You need to be focused on growth. Trust the office experts and helpful staff at WorkSuites to take care of everything else, from dedicated phone lines and internet to furnished executive and co-working spaces. The OBBM network has tripled our business in the short months we've been with WorkSuites and encourages you to step out boldly, make the tough decisions, and get back to work your way. Your nation depends on it. The OBBM network acknowledges that this is a pivotal time in history, and it is clear the United States of America has been undermined by many of our elected officials for some time now. We want our local business audience to stand strong in the face of what we now understand, and to be empowered to grow our businesses on the local level beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon us. We believe it is in our national interest to inspire our communities through strong economic development and, additionally, to hold our elected officials accountable for accurate representation of we the people. For that reason, we encourage you to go to westandforfreedom.com to learn about the National Write Your Congressman organization that has been the trusted communication tool for local communities for over 60 years. Learn how your representatives are voting. Understand the laws and regulations under consideration on the state and federal level before they are enacted at the county and city levels. Communicate directly with these officials and stand up for yourself, for by doing so, you will protect the communities you serve from tyrannical rule and unconstitutional reforms. The OBBM Network is the premier voice for local business, and we take that responsibility seriously. The OBBM Network has everything you need to grow and transition your business for success on popular syndicated podcast networks, Roku and other video channels, and the OBBM Network app. We work for you, local business, and we've got your back. So this unique episode has been really covering a broad brush of what the OBBM Network stands for in your local communities and in support of your business, in support of the strength of your business, to unify this community in a way that you really haven't maybe thought of before on the grander scale. Participate, my friends, in the big picture, in the design of your city, because you get to be a part of it, unless, of course, you don't. And there comes a time in history when you no longer get the choice. But right now, things don't have to be out of control, and you can understand a few things about how to put it back into something that's manageable. First of all, realize that you're not alone. No, 90% of American micro to small business are very patriotic. They tend to have a strong faith, and they know full well how important the values of a strong family are. That's you. Now, in the us and they conversation, if you're one of the guilty that has said, like I have before, why are they doing this? Why is this happening? What are they thinking? Oh, if they would stop that, or if they would change this, or if they would do it different, then I want to remind you, it is not a they. It's us. And if you're guilty of looking at that scenario and feeling like you don't see anybody that fills the role that you think needs to be filled, is there nobody on your ISD board? Is there nobody on your council? Is there nobody on the zoning and planning committee that you know? If there's nobody participating, consider that it might be you. And it might be time for you to bone up on the United States Constitution and understand how that applies on the local level. Because this community needs you, friends. This community needs you to understand how to employ from high-risk employment groups. Yes, they do. We've got 30% of our population coming into the workforce that has a record and may have other problems that you're going to need to figure. What do? We don't do anything? No, we're going to have to learn how to employ different. We're going to have to learn to think through these programs differently. Because it's not just that. We've got a lot of very, very broken people. A lot of news has been breaking out all over the United States, and indeed right here in DFW, where children and people that have gone through sex trafficking are now being recovered and healed. Well, one day they're going to need a job. We're not looking at the same workforce we did before. And we have to look at this differently. And some of these scenarios could be in our very own neighborhoods and our very own families. So how are we going to do a better job? I'm urging you to unify in a way you never have before. If you haven't been networking, get out and network. Go meet your people. Communicate and stay involved with the other businesses that you know you need to be using right now for your own company growth, but you're just not ready. Get to know them better. Hey, and listen to shows on the OBBM network about a successful life in business. Check us out on all of our locations. Listen to Power of a Positive playlist and learn how you can think about music that you're listening to at work, in the car, where you're going better, so that you can set a better example, so that you can achieve those goals, and so that you can improve the mental health of your community with music. Can that be done? Yeah, it can. And what about the health engineer on Roku, on Rumble and Vimeo, you're going to learn about how all the different ways that you can take care of your body and use the word health, and it's good. It's very, very good. Friends, there are programs out there right now that are making a huge difference. If you don't know a business coach, be tuning into Biz Points TV and Big Ideas Small Business with Doreen Milano. Be tuning into the Building Your Brand with Paul Hittner, and make a difference with your own education. There's nothing out there that you can't learn. Get yourself in a position where you are increasing your revenues, you're decreasing your expenses, you're expanding your network and expanding your reach, because there are very real people in this community that need to see you rise. Get excited. Article 5 of the Constitution is exactly how the Bill of Rights was formed. And Shelby Williams is talking about this. He's on City Council in Plano. He's talking about it all over the place to help you understand that the Convention of States, now we're going to be talking about this on an upcoming episode in much more detail, but there's a lot going on right now that has to do with what we're doing at the local level. It's written right into our Constitution. A lot of us have read it and not thought anything of it. But we're here to bring that information to you so you can stand up for yourself, take back your family, take back your communities, and take back your rights, America. Until next time, you're listening to Susan Hamilton. You've been watching Offbeat Business TV or listening to the OBBM Network.